You can play the demo on my website, 2 million lines of code. Steam page is live. Our first baby. Shout out all of the nice people. Go through the roadmap. Hello guys, I am back, and you may have noticed I shadow dropped the gameplay reveal trailer for my secret project I have been working on. Trust me, I have been busy. In addition to this, since you last saw me, my wife and I also had our first baby, so I've been enjoying all of the things that come along with that, and in the meantime working on my game. So just up front, let's get through the bullet points of this video. The gameplay reveal trailer is posted. You can play the demo on my website. The Steam page is live, and I wanted to call out all of the support and encouraging achievements I have received from all of you on my tutorials in the last 90 days, 100 days since I posted a video last. So thank you so much. I will be shouting out those nice comments and those nice people. And I am back. So today's video will serve as a week 0 of 52 towards the roadmap release of the Pixel Rush RTS. So in the background, I'll just be playing the trailer, and we'll go over a couple things about what I want to talk about. So up top, I want to shout out all of the nice people that have been leaving me encouraging comments on the tutorials. I've had a handful of YouTube channels in the past, and honestly, these tutorials have really knocked it out of the park, and I'm so glad that people are getting use and information from them. I did not expect such a amazing response from everyone. So Shadow Scorpion Dev, J Bacall, Kitten's Roar, Ferbs1337, Nahar Ilfar, Keck Error, Tyron Gaskill, AOLT Dinquiry, Lesk Johnson, MP Dacey, Grattedo28, Big Head Bro Games, Wagner Felix, Eternal Habibi, Tony Dev, 416, Yasa Wakan, Chabohatla, Yasha Yadev, L Workcraft, Carl Ariz, Yara Gomez, Tilonin, and Inapro. If I forgot anyone, you are thanked as well. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for the support that you've given me on those videos, and I am back. So I really wanted to be able to focus on my secret project here, Pixel Rush RTS. Between recording content and thinking of content for the tutorials, and then going and editing them and posting them, I realized that I wasn't having enough time that I needed to actually work on my project. In addition to this, you know, we were just finishing up the pregnancy, getting all of that stuff ready, getting the nursery ready, and then now, once as mentioned before, my baby is just over a month old. I think she's like 35 days old. So just in the last month, obviously, I've been bombarded with everything that comes with that. So in the long run, I'm really enjoying it, but yeah, my time has been limited, but yeah, we're starting to fall into a little bit more of a schedule, and I'll be going back to work in about a week. I was on paternity leave, and so yeah, we'll see how it goes from there. But the idea here is that we'll be having at least weekly or bi-weekly development check-ins for Pixel Rush RTS. So the release is scheduled for 2027, June 22nd. So go ahead and mark that in your calendars. And if you haven't already, please wishlist the game on Steam. You know, if you guys aren't aware, a wishlist on Steam is essentially a like on YouTube or on Facebook or on Instagram or whatever. It helps the game get into the algorithm. So I see 2 people have already wishlisted the game, so thank you so much if that's someone from this community. So I really do appreciate that. So let's get into a couple other items. So thanks again for all of the amazing comments that I've received over the last 100 days since I've last posted. It's very much appreciated. So I wanted to say I have been busy. If you guys know anything about how GitHub works, this has been my commit graph for the year, and I started working on Pixel Rush RTS in January. So you can see I've been pretty busy, and this was the week that my child was born and we were in the hospital. So, you know, obviously there's going to be a little bit of missing commits there, but I'm sure everyone can understand. So here's the contributor graph for the Pixel Rush RTS since the start of the year. I have been busy. So this is by commits, and you can see here by lines of code change. I've added 2 million lines of code and removed 816,000. This is obviously inflated because I am using the Godot engine to make my games, so there's a lot of that, you know, what do you call it, IDE infrastructure kind of stuff that's in the background. So if I add a JPEG to the game folder source, it's going to add like 300 lines of code or whatever. So this obviously isn't a real metric. Really, I could see I've given 168 commits to this project in the last 6 months, and we've got a year to go. So I've got a lot of polish to go over. So my website, piledrivegames.com. The Pixel Rush RTS Alpha Playtest Demo is available. If you're coming right to the homepage, you'll see here you can either hit the Play Now button or you can navigate in the menu, and you'll land on the Pixel Rush RTS landing page. A little blurb about what the game's about, some screenshots, and if you scroll down, you can actually play the alpha demo build live. So this is against an AI opponent, and I say it's an AI opponent because it's not like LinkedIn with some LLM or whatever. Like it's like a game AI. Like I programmed some rules into it for how it plays this card, how it decides which card to play, and those sorts of things. So here, remember, this is an early alpha build. So I actually have this build here updating through a continuous integration workflow. So every time I make a commit to my project, I have a GitHub action that kicks off, and this will take the latest code, it will build it, and it will publish it to my site. So every time I make a commit to my project, the latest code is pushed also to my website here, the latest build. So that being said, you're going to run into bugs, you're going to run into performance issues. This is a very early build, and our official demo will be available on Steam hopefully in 2027 Q1, at the end of 2027 Q1, and we'll run over the roadmap here in just a moment. So really, for now, if this is something that you think you like, it's really just to give you an idea. There's a couple decks from choose from. You can also build your own deck by, removing some cards here, or just going to the plus, making a complete new deck, and, whatever, new deck, save, and go back to main menu, and then you'll be able to choose it here from the list of options. And then you can launch and play the game. So I haven't quite added controls yet. It's WASD, or you can pan to move around. Shift is to speed up the camera, but everything else is pretty straightforward. Click and drag to play cards. Click and drag to play your spells, and click on the deck to draw a card. And everything else is auto battle, for lack of a better word. And so yeah, that's really how the game goes. And so you can play the alpha build now, but if you're also inclined, the Steam page is live, so please do go ahead and wishlist the game. That really helps out the algorithm. And if you want to learn more about the game, you can read about the game here, and about some of the development decisions I made, and the core gameplay loop, to building your battle deck, strategic spell usage, fighting for map control. You can read more about the game there on the Steam page. So without further ado, let's go through the roadmap, which is the main idea for this actual video. So week 0, I hope to be able to publish a dev update at least every week from now, so maybe 52 more of these videos on Mondays, but I wouldn't be surprised, given new baby, given going back to work, given lots of other stuff going on. I suspect maybe it'll be bi-weekly, so expect maybe 26 dev updates until release, obviously subject to change, but that being said, here's our roadmap. So what's completed so far? What I completed in 2026 Q1 and Q2, you've got the deck building, and again, it's non-persistent. So if you make a deck on one day and then you go back to my site to play it again another day, your saved deck is not going to be there. It will be there for your game session, but it won't be saved. Like, it's not saved to the cloud or the back end, or written to your machine at any point, or cookies or whatever. You can play multiplayer versus the local AI. I've got all the combat mechanics, spawning, evolution, spells, towers, etc. The game core gameplay is really playable as is on the site, and as mentioned, the alpha build is available, and the Steam page is live as coming soon, so please get those wish lists in. For all intents and purposes, the game is essentially playable, and you should really have an idea of what the game's going to be like. There'll be a couple different modes, a couple different bells and features, and obviously a lot of polish still to come, but that being said, go ahead, try out the game, let me know if you like it, let me know what can be improved, and yeah, we'll go from there. So 2026 Q3, this is the next quarter coming up in July and September. So I want to finish off the main feature set I want to finish and polish the core gameplay loop. There's still a little bit of polish I want to do. There's still a little bit of polish around the monster pathing behavior. Sometimes they get stuck on each other. There's a few interactions, special interactions like capturing towers and things that maybe need a little bit of extra polish, and a few combat bugs, and maybe some more diversification around some of the attack animations and things. I think they're all just using a basic attack animation now. I think my snake constantly uses his left hand, but, in a perfect world, we'd want to, left hand, right hand, left hand. So there's little stuff like that, at the end of the day, the player might not even really notice, but it's those invisible things that add to the much more polished behavior. I want to implement some engagement bells and whistles. So this is things like the end game stats screen, which I have implemented, and economy and card unlock features. So right off the bat, guys, there will not be microtransactions in Pixel Rush RTS. There's not going to be buying loot packs or buying these packs or randomized packs or whatever. But what there will be is an in-game currency that can be earned through playing games and winning matches, and then you'll be able to unlock cards. I considered, just when you get the game, you're going to just have all of the cards available to you, but then there's no real sense of progression for the player. So there will be some sort of in-game currency that you'll be able to unlock and buy these cards with the in-game currency that will not be purchasable. There will be no microtransactions in Pixel Rush RTS. And so, yeah, just to give yourself a little bit of this progression idea and to kind of pad out the gameplay loop. To make it a little bit more enjoyable. So you don't just get everything unlocked usually when you first get a game. So I'll have the first couple basic decks unlocked, but then you'll probably have to quote unquote buy the rest of the cards. And then obviously we need the basic stuff to be finished, like settings functionality and audio toggles. Okay, so moving on, Q4, so at the end of this year, I want to start doing the audio engineering. So if you play the alpha build, you'll notice there's absolutely zero sound. So I'm going to need hundreds of audio files, and I hope to be able to actually do some of the audio engineering on stream. So we need sound for every single different monster. I think there's 24 monsters and 9 spells right now. So each monster attack animation needs a special sound. Each monster movement needs a special sound. I need ambience music for the main menu, for the forest level, and the new levels that will be created. And a big one here is the Steam SDK integration. So I have not released a game on Steam. I have not used the Steam SDK. So I don't quite know how difficult this is going to be. If you guys have been working on my tutorials I posted in the past about getting an app on Google Play, things are a lot harder than they seem all the time. So I suspect that this might be a little bit of a challenge, but it's nothing I can't accomplish within a quarter. I want to get some Steam achievements and cloud saves, the basic Steam integration stuff, and exporting the build for PC. So right now I'm only exporting to web, because, the game alpha build is live on my website. So I want to make sure that we can export to build for PC and some extra time for troubleshooting here. I do imagine there will be some troubleshooting issues. So in addition to this, there will be a single player campaign. So right now I have the verses, and really, it's just you choose a deck, the enemy chooses a deck, and then you guys battle. But I want to have this kind of single player campaign where there's levels, and there's almost not necessarily a story, but you have to beat the enemy using a specific deck. Right now the enemy chooses a random deck in that versus mode that's completed. And so the single player campaign will kind of be you choose a deck, or maybe the deck will be chosen for you, and it's hey, you use this deck, the enemy uses this deck. Maybe there'll be some kind of extra constraint, the enemy has faster mana generation, or your mana generation is nerfed, and the goal is to still be able to win the game. And then there'll be challenge levels. So in addition to the main core gameplay loop, I also want to have a set of challenge levels that will be you'll maybe be in a more static environment, so less of a level like you've seen in the forest level that we have implemented so far, but a challenge level to be okay, you only have these 3 cards in your deck, in your hand, and there's no drawing from your deck, there's no deck or anything, there's no mana, but you have to, or maybe there's a certain amount of mana, you have to play these cards in your hand, and you have to beat a certain number of enemies that are on the field, and it's sort of kind of like a puzzle mode. And I want to implement 2 to 3 new multiplayer versus maps. So the next one I've already got my eyes on is a dungeon theme level, and then maybe something else, maybe like a seaside level, like a beachy level. So we'll have a forest, a dungeon, and maybe a seaside beachy level. And so those will be the versus maps that will be available on launch. And as always, The game can always be updated in the future. So, depending on how many sales we get, how many wish lists we get, I may or may not add more or less features. 2027 Q1, so this is the last real heavy implementation quarter, because the last quarter before release is going to be mainly polish and reiteration and some balance. So I've left a whole quarter here for multiplayer functionality. The goal is to have the Steam demo available at the end of 2027 Q1. So at the end of March, the very end of March, I'm thinking March 31st, I'm going to try to get the demo available, and that should hopefully have the multiplayer functionality. So I do suspect this will be quite a lift. I am reading through the Essential Guide to Creating Multiplayer Games with Godot book by Henrique Campos. It's been a pretty good resource so far. So implementing multiplayer functionality, I really do suspect that this will take me 3 months. And this is, on top of things like optimization, lag compensation, and really just getting it to work. I'm assuming it's probably going to take about 1.5 to 2 months, and, I'll be able to maybe polish it with that remaining time in this quarter. So the last quarter before release, 2027 Q2, so I have a goal of 100 wish lists. So if there is more than 100 wish lists, I will purchase another monster pack, and that means I'll be adding 20 new monsters and 5 new evolution chains. So I'm leaving it to this quarter because I want to have the opportunity to build up to 100 wish lists. I really hope we can get like 1,000 wish lists. I really hope we can crush this number, but I will be adding a new monster pack. So 24 monsters, and I think there's 9 evolution chains and 9 spells or something like that, as is in alpha build. I do want to add more monsters. As always, if we get some sales, if we get some wish lists, even post-release, I'll be able to add new monsters as we go, depending on how the game's doing. So I really hope, I'm really striving for success here. I want Pixel Rush RTS to really be my magnum opus, and that's what I'm going for. So final balance patches, random polish, bug chasing and squashing, and most importantly, the Steam demo community feedback. So there's obviously going to be a ton of feedback from the Steam demo, and this quarter gives me that opportunity to implement some of the feedback. And finally, release is currently scheduled for June 22nd, 2027. So you'll see this video is going up on June 22nd, 2026. So that leaves me 52 weeks, which is why, this video is titled Week 0. And so that's it for that. So please do remember, it's available on Steam. Please go wishlist. The alpha build is available on my website. Please go check it out. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks again for all the love on the tutorials. My main focus will be working on Pixel Rush RTS, but I do hope to get out a couple of tutorials in the meantime. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, happy coding.